Jarrell Miller is in advanced negotiation top rank for multi-fight deal. Not sources. Sam Jones via IFL, right? I was mixing up topics there. Sam Jones went to IFL and said Sam Jones is the manager of Joe Joyce. Said that the deal with Top Rank is signed, sealed, and delivered for Joe Miller.
Yeah, he said 3 year, but I don't know if he meant 3 fight. But like we were sort of talking about it could be years, but I don't know. That seems long.
But like I told you before the show started, it could be a 3 year or a 3 fight deal. It could be one of those that's possible, whichever one comes first. But Miller, Big Baby, sort of signing a Top Rank deal, or at least at the very least in advanced negotiations with Top Rank for a deal. Rob, are we surprised at this at all? I would say I'm not off the rip.
No, look, someone was going to do it. He was going to land somewhere.
Absolutely.
Obviously, I don't think DAZN were interested in going back there. So it was going to happen. I've seen people saying, "Oh, look, Wilder Fury's not going to happen. It's going to be Fury Miller," and he's been brought in to fight Fury. Maybe he is at some point, but I don't think it's. He don't even want to fight Joyce yet without a fucking tune-up. So he's not going straight in with Tyson Fury.
He had a very severe case of pediatritis. Okay. And that's why he was off for 6 months.
Yeah, you can get an injection for that, right? Yeah, look, he was going to land somewhere. I mean, it's all well and good getting a deal, but you've got to now get a license, right? So we'll see what happens regarding which commissions will let him. I don't know about New York because of where it happened and stuff that's happened in New York before. I don't know if he'll get.
Here's what. Look, I'm telling you right now.
I will get one. I'm not. Look, Gary is your new Texas boy.
He will get one in New York too. This is what happens when you fail a test and you try to get a license back. You have to pass a test, and then you get a license back. That's usually all that it takes.
Yeah.
Here, go pass a piss test, and we give you a license. Trust me, because I've followed PED cases for a while now. That is what it takes. Okay, so he's going to get off scot-free in terms of licensing. That's not going to be an issue. Same, even in the UK. I mean, I know people don't like me saying that, but guys, Tyson Fury, Dylan White, Povetkin, like you go down the list of people in the heavyweight division that have popped and are still fighting in the UK. It's not an issue, guys. It fundamentally is not the issue. There's no 3 strikes, you're out policy in any commission. In any. So him getting a deal, him getting a license, not surprising. On top of that, when he was first linked to Tyson Fury a month or so ago, give or take, I think that was a sign that, hey, there's a path line of dialogue here between these two camps to rehabilitate him.
He was at the Schwartz fight, right?
Yes.
The little reports came out that he and Bob Arum had a meeting then. That got played down, saying, no, we just bumped into each other and blah, blah, blah. But here we are at the next Fury fight. And it looks like...
and I think the reason why it died down is because it did actually receive some heat. Like a lot of the boxing public kind of was very vocal against the idea of a rehabilitated Big Baby Miller at that point. But a month later, 2 months later, boom, we're right back in it. No big deal. Because, hey, we have a very short-term memory span in this.
It was a bit raw, I guess, still, the fact.
Yeah. Well,
I've seen when the Joe Joyce stuff come out, people were instantly like, this is a disgrace, giving Sam Jones a bunch of shit. He said, look, if we don't fight him, someone else is going to fight him. He said, and then he started listing, what if we got offered the Povetkin fight, we wouldn't fight because he's failed in the past. I could go on and on. He said he was listing heavyweights. But he said, look, if we don't fight him, someone else is going to fight him. It's, don't get me wrong. I think all drug cheats should be banned and throw the book at them, this, that, and the other. But that's not how this sport works. But I've seen tons giving him, loads of stick for it. You giving him a path back into this, that, and the other. And next thing, I've seen others saying, I can't wait to see that fight. And they're getting grief because, I really love that fight. And then people are saying, what, you'd allow him back in? It's like, give it a week, you'll forget as well. Or, we tend to just be like, oh, he's a joke, whatever.
And here's I've talked about this before. Like, to treat any of this like by case basis is just wrong. Like to get all up in arms at Sam Jones, right? At Frank Warren or at whoever when it comes to a guy like Big Baby Miller coming back into the fold, back into the sport with open arms. You're not tackling the issue at all. You're not arguing at it. You're not yelling at it. You're not. You're arguing at people that are within a systemic issue right now, within a systemic problem, which is PD regulation and how it's handled. If you want that to be fixed, you have to battle it at a structural level. You have to battle it at the WADA level, at the USADA level, at the VADA level, at the commission level. That's where you battle this conversation out, fans. Like, you don't go at Sam Jones on Twitter and say, how dare you give Big Ray Miller a chance back in the sport? That's fundamentally not how you fix the issue. If your opinion is that all drug sheets should be banned for life, then you need to start adding the commissions, the regulatory bodies, because they are the ones that will make it a structural thing where that is the norm, if that's what you want. Or if you're more like me, that thinks PD regulation as a whole is just completely misguided in terms of who it's aimed at, then again, argue at the structure, argue at the regulation in its entirety, in its corporations, and how it's formed, both from a collection agency standpoint, a la VADA, USADA, WADA, and from a commissional standpoint, a la the ABC in the U.S., which is the New York Commission, California, New Jersey, all the commissions here, state commissions combined. And then you have the British Boxing Board of Control in the UK, and you have the sort of respective ones throughout every individual country. That's where you have to battle this out.
The Saudi Arabian Commission, that one?
Yep, the great Saudi Arabian Boxing Commission, like that is where you're going to have these changes to where people think that like things get done, like a progressive wave to the sport hits where like PD changes or PD regulation changes. Again, arguing at Sam Jones and managers and or promoters isn't going to change that.
Look, Bob Arum, was it on Chris Mannix when him and Eddie, I think it was during Hooker Ramirez fight week, they done a sit down with Mannix and sort of VADA testing came up. And I think Bob was on board with the idea of like the networks getting involved as far as paying a certain percentage of VADA testing.
I think we talked about this, or I talked about it.
And Bob was like, yeah, that, maybe that's something where we could, more testing can be done throughout a card rather than maybe the main event or, try to bring it. But I think you're just chasing your tail, to be honest. With all, I don't know, cycling off and some fighters not fighting for another 5 months when as soon as they finish one fight, they could do something. And by the time the next camp comes around, they're clean, but they're getting the benefit. I think, I don't know, you've got to get this right at the, almost where are they getting the drugs from?
You got the manufacturers, the production companies that are making it, because a lot of them hide in plain sight. The documentary on Netflix called Icarus, for those that want to check it out, highly recommend it. It's a deep dive on I want to say from a few years back, obviously, but from when Russia had its big doping scandal. It's a deep dive into that side of it. But that is, analogous to even our sport in a way. So definitely go and watch that documentary if you want a further grasp on it. Also, I will keep saying this in terms of a YouTube video to see. Sorry, Rob. Luke Thomas did an interview with Paul Demio of the University of Stirling. Great professor, great knowledge when it comes to PD regulation. And they covered a lot of it from the combat sports side of it as well. So again, Luke Thomas, Paul Demio, type that in on YouTube. You're going to find a really good interview.
Even the Lance Armstrong days, putting blood, taking blood out and putting over,
EPO,
blood doping, taking out blood. Oh, it's just crazy. And then to get a gauge of how it filters down, I think it was like regional level cycling. A guy blood doped using dog's blood.
Didn't Miller? One of Miller's was EPO, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
good times. Dwayne, speaking of drug sheets, any news on White's B sample? I think Eddie's been mentioned several times or quoted several times saying that sometime in October they're expecting some resolution, something.
And Eddie said, "I know how that's going to go." So
Cool.
very confident of it being all good. But
You know what it's gonna be? It's gonna be just like Tyson Fury, where it's like, hey, like the process for the hearing and everything took a year and a half. So we're just gonna say that process was your suspension. Do not be surprised, ladies and gentlemen, if we hear a 6-month suspension and into sort of a retroactive suspension to the process of the hearing. That's just what. Hey, knock on wood. That's my guess. That's my prediction.
yeah, maybe.
It's
Well, I
it's
just
on
feel like
brand.
there seems to be some kind of confidence about that he's going to like actually clear his name, as in this is going to come with like facts and knowledge behind what it was. But who knows? Who knows? It's going to be above my head. And to be honest, it doesn't matter what that report says because it's done now, as far as I think most people are concerned.
The same guy saying this, ladies and gentlemen, was really hyped on Marcellus Wilder getting popped. Just want to point that out. Moving on.
Who's that?
You.
I was hyped on him getting popped.
Yeah.
Was I?
Yeah, you were giddy. I use that word specifically too. Giddy.
I don't know. All I know is that's what's being said. It's a no contest for no reason, and nothing's been reported. But I don't know. It's probably fucking marijuana or something. But whatever.
Again, you were giddy when that came out. You know it.
That was too close to name redacted days. It was still Maha in your face. But I don't know about giddy.
You were definitely giddy. It's okay. When Fu doesn't listen to this, and I just mention it in the chat later on, he's going to back me up and say that, yeah, you were giddy about it. It's okay.
Yeah,
man.
but he's the main chick.
He is the main chick. It's okay. And Mitty is like the secret chick that like we all vie for, that he just like always blows us off. Damn you, Mitty in the chat. Pause. Whoa, yeah, that's a.
Oh my god, he may blow you off, but
I
mean, we're tight and everything, but damn.
Yeah, but you guys live next to each other. So I mean, I have met Mitty a couple times. God damn. You met him? No, I've met him more. I think.
Yeah, you have. Yeah.
Fuck. Gary saying giddy is a good word, and so is moxie. It is. I think you're spelling it wrong too. I think it's with D's, isn't it? Isn't it giddy? Or is giddy with D's or T's? I think it's with D's.
Yeah, it's D's. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Come on, Gary.
Hence giddy.
That's that Texas education right there. Moving on.
Damn.
On.
Good job. They got a bunch of really good fighters, right?
Moving on.